never quit, we always keep on going. Quitters never win, but we're always growing. Hey there, big cat, let's chase the highest vibration. Together we'll create a new world, a brand new nation.
Namaste! Grand Rising, Big Cat. Welcome or welcome back to Frequency Phoenix 555. For your message or massages, come in, come on. I've got intel. Recon is afoot. Let's dive right in and unpack. Oh, we've been getting a lot of eights, darling dears. You have the energy of an 8, okay? The energy of the 8 is representative of the 8th house in astrology. The 8th house is the house of money as well as debt, rebirth. For some, it's the end of the road, darling dears. My condolences. The 8th house is also the house of money, other people's money coming towards you, or joint finances. Maybe you're going into a relationship, darling dears. The 8th house is also the culmination of things, darling dears. Money's coming towards you could be from investments, some kind of a legacy, from your taxes. It could also be from retirement, darling dears. But this is definitely something coming towards you because you had to let go, or you're letting go of a situation, darling dears. Okay, we've got 2 8s. We've got 8 here and 8 here. So we've got 2 8s on the tableau, darling dears. It tells me that you're about to receive some kind of opportunity to create some more Skrilla.com. That's money, the folding stuff in the present moment. It's about you continuing to stay focused on what your big picture is, darling dears. Focusing on your the highest level for whatever you got on the go at this moment in time, darling dears. For your highest good, focused on the infinite possibilities that the 8th house wants to gift you. It also speaks about your psychic abilities, darling dears, utilizing them well. The energy of the 8th house is also the house of wounds, darling dears. Okay, somebody was wounded by someone who's passed on. Okay, there's a message for someone. It speaks about the transformation that you're going through, darling dears. Somebody's also going to be losing some money, whether it's through bankruptcy or debt, darling dears. Well, bankruptcy and debt could be the same, but it's 2 different levels, isn't it? There's levels to the debt, darling dears. There's levels. But it's all about your overall evolution, darling dears. Again, I see the occult energy, the taboo energy, dealing in things that people see as taboo, things like tarot, numerology, astrology, or some form of energy healing. Okay. It's about being reborn, darling dears, as the what? Big Cat Chronicles continues. Yeah. Pardon me, that was a spiritual belch because I speaks the truth. Okay. All right, let's move on. You could be a life path 8, or the number 8 will be figuring in your life over the next few days. The number 8, 17, or 26. The 8 is ruled by the letters H, Q, and Z. It's also ruled by Saturn, which is Capricorn and Aquarius energy, darling dears, as well as the letters P and F. So Capricorn about your career, your public status. It could also mean a loss of status for some, darling dears. I told you debt is also on the tableau. Okay, the 11th house Aquarius energy is about your public standing. It's about monies being paid to you. People keeping a close eye. It's about your hopes and your wishes, darling dears, your future planning. You are the CEO of all you survey, darling dears. You're a high achiever, or you are achieving new heights. Your luckiest numbers will be 2, 4, and 8. Your luckiest days will be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Avoid the numbers 3, 7, and 9. Definitely about your ambitions, darling dears. You breaking some kind of limitation or structure removing a structure. Saturn energy can go either way, darling dears, depending on the due diligence that you've put in. And again, Saturn also rules time, as well as karma.com, darling dears. Okay, why? Because Saturn is a slow mover. Once it gets into a sign, darling dears, it's usually there for about 2.5 years, teaching you discipline, teaching you structure, darling dears. Teaching you to what? See the restrictions, but seeing how far you can push yourself, how far you can go. Okay. Okay. Moving on. It again speaks about some form of material satisfaction coming to you, being more in your authority. This is about you being driven at this moment in time. Many of you are embroiled in some form of research, darling dears. This research has made you come out of some kind of struggle in your life, made you see things for what they really are, the death and the rebirth of you. I love it. I don't hate it. Well, we've also got the energy of the 5. The 5 speaks about someone feeling threatened by the foundation that you're creating, darling dears. Some level of security that's coming towards you. Or maybe it's somebody coming out of debt, darling dears, able to rise above and still being able to secure something for yourself, some kind of a structure. Okay. The energy of the 3 speaks about the busybodies, darling dears, the mouth breathers that are effing all you got going on, darling dears. The energy of the 3 also speaks about conflict, confusion, arguments. Why? Because your life path is about to take a significant change, darling dears. And remember, it's always the eye, oh my gosh, the eye of Saturn on your shiznai, darling dears. These mouth breathers, they always know when something's about to change. Why? They've been watching you closely, darling dears. It also speaks about, with the energy of the 6, you're having some form of medical visits. You'll possibly be visiting a hospital or medical center or seeing a doctor. It also speaks about cooperation. Maybe somebody will be accompanying you for these visits, or someone may be looking for you to visit, to accompany them on the visit. Again, we remember the energy of the 5. They feel threatened by what you've got going on, and it's also what? Keeping you away from your blessings. Remember, I told you that. We have the energy of the 2 telling me that it's going to be an extremely fortunate period for you, darling dears. Very lucky. For travel, you've got unexpected good news coming towards you, darling dears. For travel, even for business, everything is going to be going your way. It also tells me that you've been taking the time to meditate. Listen, you need the time to meditate, to go within, darling dears. The 8th house is a very spiritual house, darling dears. Okay. As I said, it's tied up with karma and what's going down Bobby Brown. Okay. According to the low shoe grid, the energy of the 8 is in the bottom corner. So it speaks about you getting a new level of knowledge and wisdom. It speaks about the self-knowledge, learning thyself. This is why we're all here, darling dears. That's the key to the universe, knowing thyself. And the best way to get to know yourself is through your birth natal chart. I can't tell you this enough, darling dears. I talk about it all of the time. Get your birth natal chart. Find out whom you are. Many people going around life and they've got no idea. They've got no purpose in line when everything is in your natal chart. Once you let go of wherever your south node is and go towards your north node. Okay. Shall we press on? Let's see what's on the side of the dice. Okay, you've got an 8 and a 3, which is a 9. So it's the culmination of a situation, darling dears, which is putting you in tip-top manifestation mode. The energy of the 9 also speaks about a fated. Something was fated, darling dears. Whatever you're doing, you took the action, you showed courage. This is why your ambitions are about to be realized in one way or another. Okay. All right. Do we press on? Do we press on? Okay. The energy of the 3-5. It tells me that someone's going to be paying you a visit, darling dear. Someone you possibly haven't seen for a while. Okay. But also remember, this person may be coming on the wings of travel, straight from the crevice of the devil's balls, darling dears. Because why? Something is going to be blamed on you. Remember, I told you that. Me personally, no one's allowed to come in. And the children, they've got to show me their birthmarks, darling dears. Yeah, on camera. Otherwise, I ain't opening the door for no one. It's It is what it is. Yeah. Anyhow, let's press on. Let's press on. So there's a lot of gossip and talk about what you've got going on in your life, darling dears. Energy of the third house speaks about communication and doing it by phone, maybe even video chat, darling dears. Energy of the third house tells me that you've gone into some form of higher education. And again, the wisdom comes back into play. You're applying it, darling dears. The third house is also about your childhood. Possibly being watched by your siblings, younger siblings, aunts, cousins, nephews, nieces. People are paying attention to what you got going on, darling dears. Remember, you'll be getting an impromptu visit. So someone not even announcing that they're coming. Yeah. You may even be going through surgery at this moment in time. I already said the doctor's visits are on the tableau, darling dears. Okay. Saturn energy is your skin, your bones, your teeth, your ears and your knees, those areas. Okay, and if you're going to be having surgery, don't have it on a new or full moon, because the healing will be it'd be very hard for you to get back on your game after having surgery around those times, darling dears. Okay, unless it's an emergency, right? Good golly and gosh, someone who is evil through and through. Well, guess what? Evil spelt backwards is live. You got to live your life, darling dears, no matter what's going on around you. Yeah, and this person is a straight up and down stalker. Didn't I tell you you're being stalked? No need to be paranoid, darling dears. It's going on. Why? Because you fell back from a situation. 8th house is the death of one thing in order for something new to be reborn. Okay? Look, I just called the 9th house, and the 9th house has come out. So, 9th house also speaks about higher education. 3rd and 9th house, possibly you're going from lower to higher education. 9th house is all about publishing. Maybe you're publishing some kind of a book, darling dears. It also speaks about astrology. Maybe you're into astrology. Maybe you're going into the higher learning of that. The 9th house is also about foreign people and foreign lands. Maybe you're learning a new language, darling dears. Something to do with the higher courts, going through some kind of court situation. The 9th house is also about the internet. Maybe you're posting something on the internet, publishing something, darling dears. But something you're doing in the 9th house is going to bring the 8th house to you. Remember, I told you that. A chance to earn money within this present moment. Base of the deck, darling dears. What you're leaving behind is nothing but fool's gold. What's that? Fresh is naive, shining in the sunlight, darling dears. Yeah. And it's filled with nothing but haters. Haters that are evil, darling dears, stalking you. 9th house speaks of foreign people and foreign lands, darling dears. 9th house is also about adventuring out, foreign environments, and as I said, possibly learning new languages. It also is about your religion, your spirituality that is coming into play. Maybe you are a teacher or a counselor, or you're going to be put in a position where you'll be teaching and counseling. Again, 3rd house can also speak about you stepping into the spotlight, something to do with boats. Maybe you'll be traveling on a boat. If you are and you have a medical condition, possibly asthma, make sure you got your pump blood or whatever you use to keep yourself alive. Okay. Base of the deck is the 7th house, darling dears. One-to-one relationships. So someone who saw what you was doing as fool's gold, darling dears, but it's giving you what? A new lease on life. 7th house is an upgrade in your one-to-one relationships, whether professional or personal. It also speaks about it could be the marriage house. Yes, the marriage house. Yes. But it also speaks about legal situations, 7th and 9th house. So you've gone through some kind of a legal situation retaining to your 7th and 9th house. We've also got surgery on the table. You may have had some kind of surgical procedure. Yeah, which is bringing everything to the 8th house. 8th house, like I said, could be the ending of your work life in the form of retirement. Some kind of insurance coming towards you, darling dears. Okay. Let's see what's on the base of this. Your sacral chakra, darling dears. It's about you having more confidence in yourself going forward. Sacral chakra is moon energy, darling dears. It's the 417 on the hertz. If you're going to play it, darling dears, play it at night time to release the emotions around that. Wherever you're coming from, darling dears, there could have been there was a lack, darling dears. You felt repressed in that situation. For some, it was to do with sexual dysfunction. Well, okay, then that's something else. Sexual dysfunction in the terms of withheld intimacy. Good golly and gosh, who wants to be in a relationship like that? Off with their head, darling dears. It also speaks about emotional isolation, so you never had anyone really to talk about. This is looking like black sheep territory, darling dears, and there's nothing wrong with being the black sheep, because the black sheep turns out to be the goat, greatest of all times, a cat goat to be exact. Fist bump. Okay, let's get the oracle ancestral message around this. Okay, a deck I haven't used in a while. I'm going to use the mermaid deck. Definitely going towards something new, darling dears. Your philosophy, your ideas, memories of the past. Good golly and gosh. Listen, this will have you scuppered on the rocks of life before you know it, darling dears. Memories of the past. This is about you putting down those memories. Look how much hate. No, I said hate. Good golly and gosh. Listen, Freudian slip meant to come out. Hate being directed at you, darling dears. They hate your guts, including your eyelashes. Memories also speaks about someone having nostalgia. Maybe they're thinking about how they treated you in a situation, darling dears. It's also your memories about past situations. Darling dear, because it's the 8th house, you're going to have to face it. Do the work in order to release yourself from these memories so that you are not forever tied. Okay, we also had magic and contentment. You're going to reach contentment, darling dears, but the magic is also hermit energy as well as magician energy, darling dears. You have all of the tools to make a change. We're also seeing an orb or a crystal ball, but it's next to a new moon. So I think you have a major decision to make, darling dears. The next new moon will be in Virgo on the 3rd of September. Okay, darling dears, I've already put out the read, so go and watch your sun, moon and rising sign for what's going on. Because your rising sign is you. It's everything about you, darling dears. How you put yourself together, how you present yourself to the world, and how you're received. Your sun sign will talk about your career, and your moon sign will be about your emotions, family connections. Okay? Okay. All right. But definitely magic is involved in this situation. Magic of what? Insight, darling dears. Listening to your discernment, moving away from a situation. Magic is also tied up in the 8th house, darling dears, the occult energy of it all. Okay, let's press on. Let's press on. So something to do with memories, the 7th house where fools, gold and haters resided. Wow, that's a whole mouthful. Base of your deck, darling dears, we've got the 6 of Cups. This is Venus and Scorpio energy, darling dears. Okay. So Venus is in its detriment in Scorpio, darling dear. So this is not a good time. This is a confusing time for you at this moment. Okay? Let's move forward. See what's going on. What's these memories? We know that the surgery is definitely on the table, or doctor's visit. It also speaks about a caretaker attending with you, or you being someone else's caretaker. But remember, if it's someone from the past, this is not a good idea. They're going to have to find someone else to be their support person, darling dears. Remember, this person had you like what? A tampon string in their life, darling dears. Having you all over the place. Okay. The memories. Yeah, memories that you no longer have faith in, darling dears. It also speaks about being in a situation you didn't go into some form of formal training at a time when you was there, or you didn't complete your training. Yeah, and you went into a situation where money was involved, darling dears. Again, the 8th house. But there was a lot of losses in this situation. Pentacles could speak about your health. It could speak about you losing a property. It could speak about you losing your job, darling dears. Base of the deck, Queen of Cups. Wasn't using your intuition in that situation. Queen of Cups in the reverse also speaks to loyalty to situations that are not loyal to you. Good golly and the gosh, the death card on its face. Good. Listen, we've got 3 8s on the tableau, darling dears. This speaks about being in your power and what? Manifesting, darling dears. It speaks about you stepping into some form of authority figure. Okay, you've been challenged and tested a lot, but you have to know you've been challenged and tested. Why? Because blessings are on their way. Base of the deck, solo dolo, like the boys or girls on the pole. Yeah, situations that you lacked faith in. It also speaks about a new home, a new car, a new vehicle, darling dears. We've got Saturn in Capricorn, okay? Saturn in Capricorn is in its home sign, darling dears. So it's gifting you something at this moment in time. Options. Again, we have another 8 on the table, darling dears. 4 8s on the tableau, darling dears. The good, the golly, and the gosh. You were really challenged, darling dears, but it also speaks about you passing the test, a test you didn't pass in the situations where you was in the formula training. It was a spiritual test, darling dears. A spiritual test. Look, hermit energy coming right out, darling dears. You was going for a spiritual journey. Underneath that is the hermit. This, darling dears, is a fated meeting, a situation that you're not expecting, someone coming into your life. And we've got the Palace of Cups. This is someone coming in for the long haul, whether it's a friend, a lover, a partner, whatever, or even a business partner. I told you, energy of the two. Things are going to be going really well for you. Yeah, but this is most definitely a fated meeting. Okay. Situation, you've passed that test, whatever this formal test was, darling dears, and it wasn't easy. Why? Because you kept being dragged back. And again, the 8th house. Yeah, Mars in the 8th house, where there was possibly a lot of fighting, there was violence or abuse in that situation, darling dears. But you was looking at the time you spent in that situation, but it got to the point where you had to be disloyal to that situation. Why? Because there was never going to be any change. Clarify the 2 of Cups. Sorry, the 5 of Cups. The 2 of Cups speaks about an enlightening situation. Yeah. King of Cups. This is you putting down gossiping energy, darling dears. People that are fickle, no longer involved. You've got the badass alchemist ways. Being gifted with all of the tools to create whatever you want. The magician energy also speaks about movement, short distance travel, darling dears. It also brings in to highlight your siblings that stabbed you up and down, darling dears. Good golly and the gosh, they're still talking about you to this day. Didn't I tell you that there was a stalker with the Eye of Sauron? Yeah, looking like the whole what? Children of the corn, darling dears. Children of the corn. All right, let's talk about this stalker. Let's get right up and into this stalker, who is evil to the core. A full-on what? Shepherd of the devil, darling dears. Tell me about this stalker. What about this stalker? What do we need to know? They're looking at the abundance you're creating, darling dears. Some of them are stalking you in the background to see if you've gone into a new situation, a new job. Yeah. They see you as a big fat missed opportunity, darling dears. The good, the golly, and the gosh, darling dears. After seeing 2 4s on the tableau, this speaks about what? How they treated you in the past, darling dears. They chose to treat you like that. Yeah. We have the 4 8s on the table, darling dears. They're burdened down by what you've got coming towards you. And they're blocked. A full-on block party, darling dears. It speaks about being spiritually protected at this moment in time. Yeah, you blocked them. You had to. Why? Because they're stalkers and they're haters. And they're for shepherds of the devil. Yeah. And no spin-off, the block-off on a big cat-off. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about this. Yeah, distant horizons, darling dears. Again, spiritually guided. This goes to 7 of Wands, darling dears. In the upright, again, the block party over here. We've got Aries energy as well as Leo, and we've also got Cancer on the tableau, darling dears. Okay, you could be a placement of one of these signs. Yeah, or utilizing the energy. Whoever you blocked off, darling dears, if this was a partner, he was for the streets, darling dears. A full-on what? Homeless sexual. Yeah, homosexual, darling dears. This is the type of person that falls in love at the drop of a hat. A dick-dealing mattress back if ever I saw one. An animal in a kitten or Cuban heel. Yeah, somebody who'd like to talk you down. There was violence involved in that situation. War, darling dears, but not anymore. Look at all of this coming out with spiritual energy, darling dears. Plus more spiritual energy and the cups in the reverse. This relationship or shiz is definitely over. Yeah, like I said, you've been working on something for some time. It speaks about the effort that you've been putting towards it. We've got 2 knights on the tableau, darling dears. This speaks about what the disagreements that this person brought into the situation, because you're looking back at the past. This person was evil, darling dears, evil, right? And there was always fool's gold. The only difference between then and now, you didn't see the yellow card, and you sure as she's naive didn't see the red card, darling dears. This is someone moving in a situation, possibly, I don't know, misguided, darling dears. Misguided. This cup of, the cup from the Knight of Cups, darling dears. It says going into a situation, but you're in a situation where this person was extremely charming. This person was future faking, person, lover, friend, whatever this person is to you, darling dears. But it doesn't matter what they did in the past, darling dears. You've got the Aquarius energy, the Star card. Again, this is the money that's coming to you from other people, being paid to you. It also speaks about your hopes and wishes for the future. Something to do with your health, your healing, darling dears, or finding new ways to heal yourself. Okay? All right. The Star card, darling dears, in the upright, it could also speak about a benefactor coming towards you. 11th house energy, someone coming to support you. Okay. The spotlight is most definitely on you. Somebody's going to be stepping into fame, and the Star card always comes with that tinge of jealousy. Look, shepherds of the devil, darling dears, caught up in their tiny minds about you. I told you were being watched. But it also speaks about someone healing from some form of addiction. Clarify the Ace of Wands. Thank you. Yeah. Seeing you as a big fat missed opportunity. The nostalgia of it all. And again, Scorpio energy with the Sun energy, darling dears. This one, if it's a person that he was involved with, this one person was hypersexual. Yeah, devil energy. Up to wickedness. Yeah. Well, you have double tapped on what? The Fool energy, darling dears. You want to be the fool in a situation with the 2020, leaving a situation behind. We've also got the energy of Fool is Mercury as well as Uranus energy. So a sudden change is coming towards you, darling dears. Yep. For some, this is debt, darling dears. You have some debt that you have to pay off. It has to be paid. Again, 8th house energy all over this read. Listen. You can't avoid this. Somebody has a debt that has to be paid, darling dears. It has to be paid. Or somebody owes you money. Someone that owes you money, will you get it back? Not in this lifetime, darling dears. If they owe you that money, you'll never see it again. So be very careful who you lend money to over the next few days. Listen, oi. Lending my big skrilla gifted to me by the Most High Father God, Mother Isis. Sitaki, for I don't want it. Sometimes we got to get Swahili up in this B-I-T-C-H. Okay. Fell off the back end, darling dears. You're making the right investments. If it's a partner, you're waiting on the right partner, darling dears. You will see the fruits of your labor, darling dears. But it's about you not allowing this energy back in. This energy may be coming to see you. I told you, somebody's coming to visit you, darling dears. Yeah, don't be no fool. Don't take no risk with this person. Nothing. Why? Because they're disloyal to the core. I just told you. This is a shepherd of the devil, darling dear. Someone who is emotionally manipulative. The this and the that, darling dears. As a person, they're coming back with their insecurities. They'll be extremely smothering. But they're smothering you to get intel, what they can use against you. Listen, and I said, this person that's coming to visit you may be the one that wants to borrow money. Don't lend them none. You'll never see it again. We saw the tower moment. That would be straight up point A and point B, darling dears, which goes straight to what? Dummy back territory. Law number 10 of the 48 laws of power. Lend them nothing, right? Someone coming through for some help. Don't help them, darling dears. Don't do it. Temperance energy. You need your money, your time, your funds, your everything for yourself, right? Because you have an offer coming towards you, darling dears. What is this offer? What is this offer? The offer? Stability, darling dears. A new level of security coming towards you. I love it. I don't hate it, darling dears. I absolutely love this. Okay, because people, listen, you may think you're doing mundane things. Things are just chopping away at the same energy, darling dears, but it's not. The work that you've done in yourself, 8th house, darling dears, the rebirth, the reborning of you, darling dears. You have the badass alchemist ways. We saw it with the magician energy. You can create anything you want, darling dears. The Palace of Coins, darling dears. The frog on this picture. It tells you that, you know, the pathway is being cleared for you. 8th house, the rebirth of you, darling dears. Things that you previously thought were unattainable are about to be gifted to you. But remember, this person coming in to borrow your money, lend them nothing. Matter of fact, if they're begging you, beg them back. Yeah? If they might beg you, beg them back. Whether you need it or not, just beg them back. Because you'll never see that money again, darling dears. And they're coming in with what? An ulterior motive. Knight of Wands on its forehead, darling dears. On its forehead. This is how you'll be. You'll never see it again, darling dears. So you better be careful. Again, energy of the 8th house. It's coming to you via the 8th house, right? And again, the 8th house again. Move on from this situation that created nothing but trauma and drama in your life, darling dears. This is you moving on. It's also a traveling card. It's about you. Energy of the 8 of Cups, darling dears. Divesting, but this is your chance to restart, darling dears. This is a change of direction. Remember, rejection in a situation is God's redirection. For others, you're going to be leaving a job, darling dears, but you're leaving a job to go towards something more stable, something that you put together. And remember, the energy of the Knight of Pentacles, something that you've been working on for some time. Okay. Yeah, you may feel sad leaving that place, but listen, you was on a nice edge and they will be forever talking about you. You will always be on their mind, darling dears. They will never get over you. Leave them where they are, out in the cold, and somebody's coming through to borrow some money from you. They are, in fact, the professional borrower. Lend them nothing. No time. Don't give them no energy. None of that. Allow that. She's naive. This is called fall back. Yeah. Again, Libra energy. Jupiter in Libra. Yeah, they're coming for something, darling dears. But it's not what you must give them, darling dears. This one-to-one relationship, they don't deserve it. Fall back from it. Yeah. Let them miss you with the bull swanky, darling dears. Big fat missed opportunity. You're definitely moving on from the situation. Or it's your growth within the situation, darling dears. Let's get one final card. This was just staring at me. Final card. Yeah, memories. Yeah, this person is an addict, darling dears, or they're addicted to what? Borrowing people's money and not giving it back. Right? Somebody was an addict in the situation. Told you they're coming through for a quick let's talk. Yeah, shepherd of the devil, darling dears. These creatures from the backwoods coming from nowhere with yarn for hair, darling dears. Yarn for hair. Right? They come to bring nothing but conflict and chaos into your life. Right? And you've already passed your judgment on that situation. If you've already passed judgment on a situation, you don't go back, darling. This is ever forward, never backwards, in the words of Abraham Lincoln. Do what Eleanor Roosevelt said. Go so far you can't even hear the critiques, darling dears. Going into the unknown 8th house, darling dears, you wasn't sure of how the land was going to lie, but you did it anyway. On that note, I drops me mic. To over to my Teesprings, my Patreon, or my TikToks, where I also upload videos. And as I always say, don't get smoked. And don't smoke yourself. From the ashes, baby. Namaste.